You were created to stand out, to be exceptional, to be unique by design. So welcome to Exceptional Living. Well, hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of Exceptional Living. I'm your host, April Ripley, and I'm so excited you've joined me today. I first want to say thank you for everyone who has subscribed, who has liked, who has shared our channel. As you know, our vision for Exceptional Living is to inform, to inspire, and to ignite the greatness that is in each one of you. And we do this by sharing ideas, thoughts, tactics, life stories, life discoveries, and journeys into the discovery of purpose from local and global thought leaders, innovatives, and creatives. We know that in a world where one is conditioned to fit in, that you, yes, you, were created to live an exceptional life, unique by design. And so today we have a very special guest. I will call him the multi-hyphenate creative, Victor Chauke. Victor is an idealist who believes that he is in motion for a better world. His free, curious, adventurous spirit has made him one of the most sought after design and creative thought leaders in the nation of South Africa. Victor's passage through multinational companies such as Nedbank as an interior designer and Standard Bank have been a casting producer for Real Housewives of Johannesburg and GAU TV. He later focused his professional creativity on renewable energies and the importance of understanding the connectivity of humanity to spiritual development and spiritual gravitas. His energy and passion for human beings, his gratitude for life are woven throughout his businesses, and it's all to make a difference in the social and environmental issues that we face around the world. He's been inspired by African and Indian cultures that have integrated his creativity, his design. His mind is brilliant. His practical experiences are extracted from international institutions like George Washington University, GIBS Business School, University of the Free State, Tashwane University of Technology, and the School of Life. Exceptional Living. I am honored to welcome our guest today. You've seen his work in much of what we do. Website, design, this brilliance knows no limits. Victor, welcome to the show.
Thank you for such a wonderful introduction. I really appreciate that. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm so excited to have you. I know being on the front of a platform is a different facet than your creative genius that happens behind, but you're so gifted. And the work, and just to share that Victor and I connected through a mutual friend in South Africa who was launching his book. And Vezi and I actually met through another mutual friend at a conference we've been sharing at. So I say this to say that life has this very interesting way, right, Victor, kind of connecting the pieces, but we somehow don't always see, well, we see the picture of what we want, but we don't always see the pieces that will go together to form that picture. And that's really kind of a life journey, I think, that we all experience. So shout out to Vezi. But Victor, this show is all about how to live an exceptional life. So I ask you, how does one live an exceptional life?
Again, thank you for welcoming me on the show and inviting me. I really appreciate it. So the exceptional life, I personally believe that there's more to life, more than we can imagine. We the standard of life that we have, across the world, like the standard of life. It's just that is the standard that has been set, and but it does not bring the best of us. It does not bring the God-given talents that we have. So, one, to live exceptional life, you need to look beyond the standard beyond the standard that has been set. You need to step up into the next level. You need to understand your purpose, why you're here, like why are you made, why are you in this place in such time like this. By understanding those kind of concept, you will then able to rise above the standard. You will start to live exceptional life. Your mind will change. You will start to see that the time that you have, the seasons that you have, the talents that you've been given, it's here for you to change the world, to impact the world. And by so doing, by following your guide, your gift, you're definitely going to live an exceptional life, because you're going to be in touch with yourself. You're going to be in touch with your mind, your spirit, your body. You'll be in touch with the oneness of the universe. You'll start to understand and appreciate life as it is, that this is beautiful. I always look at life, that life is beautiful. We just need to explore it. And the more you have that kind of mindset, without doubt, your life will be in another level. You'll be exceptional. You'll be grateful every day. You'll wake up and counting your blessing to say, you know what, this is what life is, and start to enjoy it. Yeah.
Absolutely, Victor. I part of that, I love that you said that life is beautiful.
Mhm.
Life is beautiful in the times that make us happy, but life is also still beautiful in the times when we're not as happy. Um,
That's right.
in sad times, it comes together. It's kind of like the seasons, right? It's it's um, it's winter here,
And
but
it's summer
in the
here,
south,
so
it's the summer. Yeah, it's in different places. So, but life still, it's part of the winter is necessary for the spring to happen. And
that's
so
right.
our lives have this kind of, this woven tapestry that if we look at just the individual threads, they're not so pretty.
Not
But
at all.
once it goes together, right, we find this space. And I think about your life. And I want to hear more of your journey for discovery. But I remember one of the things that I've noticed about you is that you're willing to explore. You talk about exploiting, but I think it's also exploring your gift. Like once you see that you're gifted in the area, it's how many ways can I disperse, distribute this
Mhm.
gift to
Yes.
make impact. Share with us your journey and discovery of the gift, this creative gift that you have, Victor.
The gift, it's a very long journey. Started when I was in high school. I was never too old. I was just like, okay, look, I'm just going to school, and then I saw somebody was busy drawing, and I'm like, wow, this is wonderful. You're talented, and it's something that I'm interested in, something that I can do. And he said, like, sure, why don't you give it a try? That was the start of my journey into the art space. And then I started to immerse myself in creative art, from fine arts, understanding, and the basic principle that I got, even I live by now. The guy who was mentoring me in a creative space, he says, Victor, I only give you a blank page. Whatever that you come with, think, make something out of nothing. It doesn't have to be something complicated. And the moment I had that canvas, I just realized that actually I can be interconnected with my thoughts, with my spiritual being. I can go inside myself and tap into the talents. But not only that, I worked with different people. I had mentors. I believe that, if you want to go far in life, you can't do it yourself. You need to have coaches, you need to have mentors, you need to have guides. The people will really inspire you. The people will challenge you. The people who can give you a different view of life, and then from that basic of making something out of nothing, I started to challenge myself, and I look at a creative world, space around the world, I look at media, I look at televisions, I look at social medias and find out what are the other people doing across the world, what people are doing in Japan as far as the creative is concerned, what are the people doing in the US, what are the people doing in Singapore? And then gathering the thoughts every day, I got like challenge myself. I said, you know what, I need to enter into that space. The mentors that I have and the people who challenge me, it was not only people in South Africa, it's the people around the world. By looking, at the work that they're doing, I would look at Elon Musk, his craziness and creativity. I will look to Jack Ma. A lot of people were inspired, and I go and find out, that how do they establish themselves? What are the principles that they followed? What are the things? What are the barriers that they were willing to break? Out of as far as the creative is concerned. And I'm glad that, especially in this day and age, we have the University of YouTube, where you can literally learn everything every single day. There's a lot of platforms where you got to challenge yourself. So throughout these years, studying, getting formal education, but also looking at different areas of creativity, looking at recycling. I remember when I was in varsity, the project that I really liked, it was making chair out of recycled materials. And from that, it changed my view to saying that, what somebody sees as a garbage, you can just make something brilliant out of it, So whatever that we look at, whether it's chaos that is happening, we can extract creativity out of the chaos that we're having on the face of the earth.
So many things, Victor.
Yeah.
First, that you started this talent in high school.
Right.
Well, I won't say this. You discovered a facet of your ability in high school, in the creative space.
Yes.
And you challenged yourself. I love when you said your mentor told you, I'm giving you a blank page.
Yeah.
And that's really how we all arrive here in life, right? As babies, we have this blank page. We're taught through enculturalization, we call it when we talk about cultures and cultural awareness. So we learn what are the customs, traditions of where we grew up, the experience, but our life is still a blank page compared to that upbringing. And then it's how we see it. So it's vision, it's perspective, and the way that you saw it, the way that your mentor taught you to see it is it's inside of you. That everything that you need for your purpose, for your life, it's already inside. And if we look at nature, it is like, being there in South Africa, rooibos, which is one of my favorite teas. It doesn't go to, it's not there in the supermarket, saying, oh, could I get some seeds, please? It's already in there. Like it's there. It's already a system that is within that reproduces itself. And so that's even in humanity, that inside of us, there are already gifts, there's talents and abilities. I mean, all of us have over 700 abilities. It's tapping into that, being bold and courageous, Victor, at whatever age, to say, I can do this. I have the capacity, I have the capability to do it. But it's also, as you said, and I love the African proverb you said, that you want to go fast, go alone. You want to go far, go together. Right?
That's right.
It's important that it takes a village to raise a child. It truly does. But you said you challenge yourself. Now, Victor, this is something that I think is the next level when you talk about exceptional living.
All right.
Challenging yourself, that no one has to say, Victor, get up. Victor, look not just at your community, but look at the world, because you are a global citizen, Victor. Global citizen. This is a world house, as Dr. Martin Luther King calls it.
Right.
How do you challenge yourself? And then 2, does that mean you have to hold yourself accountable?
Yeah, you know what? Like I grew up in a village, like a real rural village. In challenging yourself, one has to look beyond. One has to connect the dots. One has to look at civilization as a whole. One has to look at the growth and the progress. One has to sit down and analyze life and look at the people who have done something greater before, regardless of the limitations that they had. And I looked at my surrounding and I just realized that there's a lot of limitations, but within the limitations, there's always gateways, these pathways. There are people who broke through, who had a way to persevere. So in challenging yourself, you need to break down the life that you're having and your surrounding. And then you look at the barriers that can make you to stop. And then you have to analyze every single day. You need to take every single day as a learning path. What did I what did I do yesterday? What did I do day before yesterday? What did I do last year? How can I improve from going there? Like it's a constant challenge that one has to put yourself. You need to see yourself beyond your circumstances, and then to elaborate this more, when I passed my matric here going to university, I remember I was talking to my mother. I said, wow, look, I've passed well, I qualified, I need to go to university. And then she said to me, look, I don't have money to take you to varsity, and I said to myself, wow, okay, look, this is shocking for me. I was expecting my parents to have fundamentals, things like they're ready for me to go to varsity. But my mother assured me that if you are willing to go to the university, there is no way, there's nothing that is going to stop you, and then apply to the university, get an entry into the university. And then when I get to the university, I have to work after school, in the evening, in the weekends, in order to pay my studies. Those were the barriers that I was having. But the barriers, it doesn't mean that the situation is bad for me. It could be any situation with somebody else. Somebody might be in UK and lost their parents. They might have similar or different circumstances, but those are barriers. One needs to challenge yourself beyond the barriers. When you conquer those kind of barriers that you have in your life, like as we spoke earlier, that winter is here, it prepares you, that when summer comes, you're able to blossom. It's all through the challenges that I went through personally that enabled me to be where I am today. So that when I look at challenges, I don't see them as challenges, but I just see that these are the platforms that I can step on, to build myself further. When I talk to my peers and friends, I said, you know what, I'm not in a retiring space. I don't plan to retire. Why? Because I still have dreams. I need to build my own car. Like, I believe that there's a car that I need to build. But those are the kind of challenges that I need to conquer myself. So challenges are going to be there as you go from one level. When you graduate from one level of life to another, challenges are going to be there for you to take those components and build a foundation for yourself to go to another level.
Yeah, absolutely, Victor. Yeah. Challenges will always be there. Yeah. And we can look within ourselves, with family, but also persons outside, people's, as you said, books you can read, can study their lives to see that all humans have challenges, but it's how you perceive the challenge, right? As an opportunity, as a barrier to break. I love what you said, break barriers. These persons saw the challenge, but they said, you know what? There's an opportunity on the other side. Am I willing to, as your mom said, to break through the barrier of maybe not having the funds to attend school? But are you willing? She knew that if you set your mind to the willingness of doing what it takes to get your education, that nothing could stop you. And so, to your point, most of these great women and great men that we look up to face barriers, but they determine in their mind to do something about it and to work through it. And well, I love that. You knew that you had to work in the evening, but that desire for education was greater than maybe the pain of less sleep, going to work and all these things. I remember too, Victor, Sunday, I told my parents, like, oh, I like a car. They're like, that's great. How are you going to get it? Right. Because where I am, you need, and that was, I saw people driving. I was like, well, their parents got a car. They're like, okay, we're your parents. And if you want a car, I was like, oh man, every situation is different, but here's a barrier. Yeah. I knew I needed that car because I wanted it. Like, I was always like, can I get a ride? Can I do this? It wasn't a big fancy car, but it would be mine. And so I had to get up at 5 a.m., Victor. Yeah, I'm in college. I've been taking the bus, on the bus, you can't really fall asleep. It's like a lot of people on the bus just to get, come home to see family. And 5 a.m. until 7:30, I had a class at 8. So that meant I had to rush back, make sure I had everything for class. I would be up sometimes, like doing my homework, kind of fall. Well, I don't know. This is after the fact, so you can say this. You get tired, so you're trying to be in class. But I knew that, like you, I wanted this car. I had to break through the barrier. So I was going to lose some sleep. I was going to drink more coffee than I said I wanted to. But I knew what I had to do. And I think that's part of challenging yourself. That's where our lives start to turn in how we then view future obstacles as opportunities to engage our full selves.
That's right.
Yeah, our full selves. And I remember even when we first connected, it was graphics. And then I said, Victor, I like to do video. And you were quiet for a moment. And I don't know, had you really done this space, you were certainly in the interior design, just gifted. And you're like, okay. So Victor, sometimes I think we challenge ourselves to do things that we haven't done and learn through the process.
That's right.
So share with us a time that you've experienced where you just said, okay, and then like, how am I going to do this? Right. I've got to figure it out. You have a time like that in your life, Victor? Or something like that?
Many times, like it happens. Like, I'm glad that you brought that up. Like there's a lot of projects that you throw in my place, and I'm like, I don't know how to do this. But I will never say it on my face. Like, I can't do it. It's like I really don't know. First, I need to acknowledge that I don't know whatever task that I have. But the question is, am I willing to learn? Number one. Number two, I'm willing to learn very fast, because time waits for no one, So I had a couple of those moments where I was put in space, both career-wise and both personal life. I remember in 2017, I was working for Nedbank doing the interior design, and I said, it's time for me to leave the corporate space. It's time for me to enter the entrepreneur world, and I didn't have enough tools. I didn't understand it better, but the desire was there, and I said, this is challenging, but I need to step out. If I don't do it, I don't want to grow up and live with regrets. Let me just step out of it. The price that I paid, it was very great. I entered the entrepreneur space with employee mindset. When I was the employee, the printer is there, the internet connection is there, the lights are there, the coffee is there in the morning, everything is set up. But now I'm entering in the entrepreneur space. I need to be making my own coffee. I need to pay the bills now for my internet usage. I need to transform myself. I don't have the client database, and those challenges came very strong to me, but I said, I am willing to learn, and I need to learn very fast, and those kind of challenges, and they still come every single day, Again, I entered in the world of the solar energy, I had no clue what was happening, but I just realized that, more than ever, we need to preserve the world. We need to make change. I need to enter into that space. And then I consulted myself and I sit down, I put my mind together. I said, I am getting in and I'm going to learn in the process. And the people that I learn mostly, it's the client that I deal with. They will teach you, they'll challenge you, they give you, I remember last December, I had this double-story house, like the wiring was just a mess altogether. And my idea was coming to install the solar system in a go. But the house by itself, it was the house of horror in terms of electricity is concerned. I had to learn from that. And I had to learn fast because the client needs to use power. In South Africa now we're facing the power cuts. You can't wait for another day. So those are kind of things that I find myself into every single day in a project. Like, as I said, that the clients mostly that are the one who put me in the deep end. And the bottom line, you need to be mentally prepared for whatever hurdle that you can find in. I meditate a lot. In a day, I like to to reserve 2 hours for myself, just immerse myself, knowing that, look, you know what, today as I woke up, there will be challenges, but am I mental ready? Am I spiritual ready? Am I physical ready to tackle whatever the challenges that can come across, doing the work, whether it's graphic work, whether it's family, whether it's friendship, I have to be ready. I have to be physical ready. I have to be mental ready. I have to be spiritual ready so that I can discern, to understand, to know how to navigate. So those are the kind of challenges that I have. Those are the things that I've been finding myself into, but I need to make decisions and make them fast, because time waits for no one.
That's right. Time doesn't wait
Yeah.
for anyone, Victor. But
Yeah.
to your point of willingness, this is something really that I hear in your stories, from education to corporate to entrepreneurship.
Right.
The willingness to say, this is what I want. There may be challenges, but I will go through it. So there's a purpose, but it's followed through with action, right? Your intention plus the mechanism is a result that you have in spaces that you've learned and grown from, because you shifted your mindset to see the possibilities, and not just the probabilities. Because sometimes we look at the probabilities and, okay, can this young man from a small village, is it probable that he could go to university? Is it probable that he can, from university, then go into these corporate spaces in the finance world?
Right.
Is it probable that he could leave that? It may be not so probable from varied views, but once you have your mind set that you're willing to go through, it's like all the things in around us, within us, the people, the places, the things that we need rise to that moment of our decision of willingness to do it.
Right.
Even for me, I attest, Victor, to what you said, right? Going to the entrepreneurial space, even starting this platform. People said, well, what is a platform for? I said, well, I have been blessed to travel the world. I've been blessed to meet remarkable people, outstanding people, phenomenal people in varied industries who are making impact. And whether or not they're on the cover of a magazine or on the news station or radio, that does not mean that they don't have significant contribution to the world.
That's right.
And so I wanted to share this platform. And so again, this was a new space for me. I'm used to
Just imagine,
in a comfortable space and doing what I do. This was different. This was me putting myself on the other side of the camera.
Right.
This was then, getting talented persons like yourself in graphics and video and my editor, and really forming this kind of new collaborative network that I call the Ink. And the Ink is gathering thought leaders and innovators from around the world and supporting each other in work. And I'm very proud of it. There's more expansion of it this year. It even expanded. It had to expand over COVID, right? Because we met really, during COVID. And many people would say, Victor, how dare you start to launch something new, learn something new in a time of uncertainty, right? In what they call the VUCA, this volatile, this uncertainty, there's ambiguity, there is, we don't know what. But you said, you know what? That's going to always be here, Victor. I hear your mindset saying we'll always have a certain amount of uncertainty. There's always going to be risk. What we try to do in life is to mitigate that risk. There's always a risk. And we have to push through. And that's what you've done. That's what you continue to do. And talk about family, because I know you're married, beautiful, beautiful young woman. And then you have kids. How do you manage this, Victor? What's your secret? You must share.
I would say that I'm very fortunate, that my wife has been supportive, of my dreams. She come along, to every single day, that I find myself working. She's always there. She like asks questions. Even the work when sometimes I do the graphic works, I have to report to her, like, what do you think about this idea, this approach? Like, criticize the work there and there. Sometimes it's not happy criticizing, like, I've done well. It's like, no, look, the colors are not balancing these, but it's about engaging her all the time, and for her always willing to learn from what I do, and I also willing what I know. She always call me her colleague, because we, in fact, from COVID, she's been working from home. We've been working like almost for 3 years together. We share a workspace, so I understand what she does, and she understands what I do from my side. So the conversation is always being helping each other, supporting each other, coaching each other. Each other. That's what it has become very imperative for us to coach each other, because we face challenges in our different spaces. But when we encourage each other, we stay strong throughout the challenges and the trials. And with the kids that I have 2 boys, Anzane and Ugosi. I had to teach them what I do, and then I had to support them. My firstborn is more into gaming. I had to make sure that I set him for the gaming and then support him. And then with me supporting him in the things that he do, he get more interested in what I do, and then said, what can I help? Like minor things like creating emails. I don't do that anymore. I just asking him to do, things like that. A lot of things that has to do with the technicality in what I do. I ask him to do it, and then so he understand the world that I'm living into. And then my second point is more into art, like it's a natural talent. I had to make sure that I equipped him also, taking him to art school. He's 5 years old, but he has shown a very great talent, from that space. And supporting him also is the same thing. So I get that feedback, and I just believe that the moment as a family, you support each other in what you do, you get more interested, and your family understand what you do. They're able to give you the space. When I said, look, guys, I don't want no one in the room now. I need to enter into the space where I can get creativity. They're like, okay, look, we're gonna see you after 5 hours, So that's how I've been with my family, and then I like the energy, and I like the everyday spending time with them. I never get tired. Like as I said, that for 3 years, like COVID, thank God for COVID that it happened. It made us to work from home, together, and brought that strong bond. Yeah.
Yeah. That's so good, Victor, because, well, the home is the school of first instruction.
Yeah.
But what you were talking about, the importance of not just working together, but I think it starts with the communication.
Right.
I'm here in Atlanta, the birthplace of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And one of the things
Right.
that he said, I heard when you were talking about your family, but also about life and working with others, is people hate each other or don't like each other because they fear each other, but then they fear each other because they don't know each other, but they don't know each other because they don't communicate. So it all really starts with having dialogue, with communicating. I had the opportunity to meet your wife in when she was choosing. We were working through some graphics, and it's interesting because the one that I chose, you said that's what she chose too.
Yeah.
So, but sometimes it's getting a different perspective and having someone who is, yes, you have mentors, coaches who are in the industry, but also persons outside to bring a different perspective into what you do. But then, bringing family into your work. And I purposely said work, right? Because job is what you do, 9 to 5 or whatever your hours, but your work is what you're gifted, what you're purposed to do. And so bringing your family into your work, your wife and your 2 sons, interesting that they're in gaming and one is in design, in art. And so all of that really is together because there's graphics in the gaming. There's different aspects of gaming, but because you communicated with them, because you took the time to learn more about what they do, they then reciprocated in saying, okay, let's see what you do. And that's how you really build
Yeah.
bridges and create, not just networks. And I speak that as far as, corporate, but taking the time to sit down and have these dialogues to learn about others and their work and appreciate that, because all humans, Victor, want to feel respected. They
Right.
want to feel, that they bring a contribution into this world, and certainly that they have the agency to do so. So I love that, like you said, with COVID, you actually got to meet and know your family more, right? You just fly out the door, hug, kiss, sweetheart, I'll see you later.
Yeah.
But then your sons also appreciate that, but also that you give back to them, and that you all, with the whole family, shares and engages with each other. Um, and that's powerful, certainly. It also can be transformative, not just in your work, but in your life, because the reality of it is you live before you work.
That's
Your
right.
family is where everything begins. It's your center, even from your childhood to now, and you're teaching your children that. It's not just what we say to our children, but they also watch what we do.
Most
And
definitely.
even in learning, this in your learning and the work that you do, that as humans, we learn more by doing experimental learning than we do just by hearing it, which is why we get tests and homework, which we all don't like. But we work through the process, and
Yeah.
so. But Victor, the reality is sometimes the process goes awry, right? We have expectations, but then the reality doesn't meet those expectations, and there's disappointment in the middle.
Most definitely.
How do we work through those disappointments? How do we get around them, get past them? What are some things that you've utilized in your life to help you break through some of those disappointments? Maybe it was a contract you thought you would get, or whatever space that is
Right.
for you.
Um, Personally, I believe that life is a process, and if you allow yourself to go through the process, like disappointment is a process that you have to go through that give you the space to reflect. In our busy life, we don't have much time to reflect. We move from one project to another, from one thing to another. And life is a way to bring disappointment, so then we can step back and reflect. The things that we do. We most of the time we take advantage of the blessings that we have. But when I get challenged, and most of the time, I love to sit back and reflect and give myself time, and I start to ask myself questions like step by step, like I believe in a holistical way of living. When something in the process come and it made me to have a setback, or maybe it's a project. I remember when I started the entrepreneurship, I had almost 340 million rand, in codes that have gone out, and when I look what came back into my space, it was like a few rands, and I got frustrated, and to say, what have I done wrong? Like I just went back and I'm like, did I say something? Was I not professional enough? Was my quotation high? Things like that. I asked myself from that fundamental level, but what really helped me most of the time is to move from the fundamental level, just to go deeper, to understand what season am I in now, what are the things that I need to learn, what are the basic things that I need to be aware of, what is the universe is saying to me. You might take it as a project, but it's far bigger than that. Sometimes the early exposure to things, it makes you arrogant, and it makes you not to appreciate the things that you get in life. But the moment you sit down and you reflect, you start to appreciate. You saying that, what, things may not have gone the way that I like it, but I really appreciate it because I made a connection with that particular person. Or maybe you start to value the moments within the process that you don't like, and then the moment you look at that, there's kind of like appreciation and joy that comes in. You start to count your blessings in the way, So for me to sit back and reflect and take a step back, I always, as I said, that I love meditation, I love walking, and I start to look at that. And when I look at the oneness of life, how we integrate it, the things that I came and overcame in life, the blessings that I have, it really grounds me, when I start to look at the challenges that I have, or maybe the disappointment that I have. For me, it comes like, wow, I'm glad that it happened. I don't like it. I'm not happy with it. But there are a lot of things that I can extract from the process that I might have gone through.
Absolutely, Victor.
Mm.
There was this gentleman who was an astute scholar that came actually from his family was in tent making, and at the time of his life, that was a very large industry, so was fairly well off. And he said it in these words. He said, "Count it joy when temptations come to your life,
Right.
because the trying or the testing of your faith, of your will, of your spirit against your body worketh patience, and patience, when it brings fruit,
Right.
will bring this maturity, this level of understanding
Mm-hmm.
that it's not always going to be good." That's what children think, right? Everything's going to be good, everything's going to be. And so I think, going back a little bit to what you were talking about at COVID, your son saw that, wait, the world changed. Things aren't always happy and good. This is a part of life. This is a part of the adulting. You also talked about understanding the season. And this is also something, one of the wisest men that lived, he said, to everything there's a time, to everything there's a season.
Right.
And I think that comes also, Victor, with the maturity of understanding that this is a different season we're in. Things have shifted. So what is coming, right? What is coming in graphics? Now we have AI, virtual reality, the metaverse, all these things that will shift what we hold on to tangibly in our hands, and even attempt to kind of, I don't want to say trick, I will say beguile our senses, right? If I put on these goggles, I'm not there, but my senses, because I see it beguiles them into thinking. So there's also this line that you have on both sides of where trends go with artificial intelligence, where they go with virtual reality, the Internet of Things, even financially, right? That you won't have a rand tangibly. You'll just go into your phone, send money. I mean, even how we interact with businesses, entrepreneurs, we may never see the check that just goes into the account. So, but we have to be open to learning. There's a gentleman by the name of Alvin Toffler. He's a social scientist. He's a futurist. And he says it this way, Victor, and this is what I heard in what you were sharing. He says that the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write. I mean, there still is some of that, but he brings it to a different level, a different dimension. And he says it'll be those who cannot learn, unlearn, and then relearn. So yes, we're not condoning not being able to read and write. There's still work to be done there globally of persons being able to read and write, because that was really fundamental. But I think what you shared and what we're getting to really, and what Mr. Toffler gets to, is this ability to see seasons and to see trends and to unlearn some things, relearn things. I mean, we're here on this platform that's already changed in the last year and probably will continue to change. And so we have to be open. We have to be willing. Use your word, Victor. We have to have this willing mindset to see what appears to be an obstacle, but as the opportunity, and be willing to break through with it, right? Break through. So I'm going to go through. This is a learning for me, and it's okay. I'm not the only person, because sometimes too, Victor, we go through things and we're like, it's just me.
Yeah.
I think in humanity, it's like, it's just me. And I think part two, what you were talking about with COVID, that it wasn't just in one part of the world. It was in all parts of the world in some way, even the most remote places. And it brought this commonality to a human experience that was at first very shocking, the sadness, all the things that came out of it, the loss, the everything. But it also brought the resilience, because what we see from the persons you name, Victor, the must, these thought leaders, these innovators that just take chances sometime and say, okay, what's the most that can happen? I can lose $2 billion. It's okay. Like, I can get it back, because so to the point, it's not just about the money, but what they recognize is that it's here. So the idea, the concept that I have, I can find another one. If that one doesn't work, okay, I unlearn that, I relearn something else. I'm able to pivot into something different.
Yeah.
Wow, Victor, this has been an amazing, amazing interview. So I want you to share with us as we come to a close, what would the man that Victor is today say to the young boy Victor? What would the man Victor today say to the young boy Victor?
The man today, Victor, what he can say to the young boy Victor is to say thank you for the steps that you took, for the sacrifices that you made. It was not an easy journey for you, but you were determined to bring a man who have fundamentals, who have ground, who has a vision. And I just want to thank you, because what you went through, it wasn't easy, but you chose not to let the circumstances bring you down. You were determined. And I want to thank you for that. And then with that in mind, I will make sure that your legacy lives on. I'm going to make the sacrifices so that the next generation that will raise the young men and women will have a platform to work with. That's what I can say to the young Victor.
Wow. That young Victor is very fortunate to have such sage insight, to also have this reality of what life is like. But I love that you thanked him. You thanked the young Victor whose determination, whose perseverance, whose sacrifices have led to the man Victor. And so, Victor, on behalf of Exceptional Living, we want to say thank you for sharing with us your journey to purpose.
Right.
The hilltops and the valleys, the obstacles, but also the overcomes. Thank you for what you continue to do to inspire many, for your authentic self, for your life, for what you do for family, what you do for community, and certainly what you do in the space of entrepreneurship. And so we honor you today and say thank you for being a part of this program. And thank you for sharing yourself with us and for serving your gift to the world. Thank you so much, and may God continue to bless you, Victor. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, April, for the opportunity. Thank you for the platform. Thank you for what you're doing, the impact that you have on the face of the earth. It is noticed, and then God bless you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone who has joined us today. Our very special guest, Victor Chauke. It has been so much. It's been so rich today. And I hope that you have listened and gleaned, again, been informed, you've been inspired, and now it's time to seize the greatness and ignite what's on the inside of you. So please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And remember that you were created to live an exceptional life, unique by design. Thank you for watching, and God bless.